Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. And if you watched my previous live stream regarding the cancellation attempts of Tommy Dreamer and Ric Flair, there's a lot of things that I went over there. And if you want more details on this particular situation, I'd really suggest checking out that live stream. It is, of course, about 40 minutes long or close to 40 minutes long, but I do go over things in a bit more detail, including the Darkside of the Ring episode where all of this controversy was kind of reignited. And I say reignited because the episode of Darkside of the Ring covering the plane ride from hell incident, well, that's something, the incident itself is something that happened nearly 20 years ago. This happened back in 2002, and it lives on kind of in infamy. I'm sure a lot of people just learned about it watching that, but if you are a longtime wrestling fan or an older wrestling fan, it's something that you probably did hear about back right after it happened, where rumors started to come out over the following weeks after this incident alleged to have taken place. There was a lot of rumors of what happened on that flight, but there were some repercussions as a result of some of the things that did happen on that private chartered flight. For the WWE, they were coming back from a European tour. They had just finished up the Insurrection pay-per-view, and just all hell broke loose apparently on this flight because a lot of things occurred. Now, of course, when I say firings, the reason why I became aware of the situation was the subsequent firing of course, Mr. Hennig, aka Mr. Perfect, and the firing of Scott Hall were a direct result of what had happened on this flight, as well as there was fines, there was suspensions, things of that nature. There was even a lawsuit where some flight attendants ended up reaching a settlement with WWE over what was alleged, or what they alleged happened to them on this flight as a result of Ric Flair, Dustin Rhodes, apparently Scott Hall were the ones that were named by the two women that decided to sue the WWE over their allegations. And Ric Flair has finally responded. Now, the Darkside of the Ring episode really focused on the Nature Boy. I mean, more than anything else was the allegations regarding the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. And as the flight attendant, one of the flight attendants involved, her name is Heidi Doyle. And what she had to say on the matter was, they obviously didn't have Ric Flair in the episode, but they focused on Heidi Doyle's claim that Ric Flair at one point in time had cornered her in the galley of the plane. And, of course, and this is the part that pretty much all parties involved have confirmed, even Flair himself, that he was indeed stark naked in nothing but his robe. At some point, this lady claims that he had cornered her in the galley and then proceeded to try to, or did force her, according to her, forced her to touch his little Nature Boy. Now, the only person in this particular episode of Darkside of the Ring that kind of corroborated her story, kind of semi-corroborated, I shouldn't say fully corroborated, but semi-corroborated, was Rob Van Dam, who said that's what it looked like was happening, that Ric Flair was trying to get her to touch his little Nature Boy. And at no point does Rob Van Dam say that he saw Ric Flair force her to touch him, and Ric Flair vehemently denies that he forced her to do anything. So we have a case where it's her word against his, and you have kind of a semi-loose corroboration of the story with only one person there, and for the most part, nobody else seems to corroborate this account, at least in regards to this Darkside of the Ring episode and what they showed. So that's a little bit of the backstory behind everything. There's a lot more details. If you want to watch the Darkside of the Ring episode, it is still available on Vice's channel. It's free for everybody to watch. Just look up Darkside of the Ring, Plane Ride from Hell, if you want to watch the entire thing. I discussed some of the points that I thought were a little strange and inconsistent within that episode of Darkside of the Ring. Some questions that I had regarding Heidi Doyle's claims, and by no means am I saying that what she said to have happened to her on this flight didn't happen. I don't know. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But there's always two sides to a story, and I'm not going to condemn either side. Ric Flair, like I said, vehemently denies it, and On Monday, he did just that once again, which is something he's been doing since this incident did take place. But let me go over this, and I'll give just a little bit of my thoughts. But this is WWE Hall of Famer Ric Flair released a statement Monday night in which he denied the allegations made against him on last week's episode of the Vice television series Darkside of the Ring. In a statement posted on Twitter, Flair denied that he essayed a female flight attendant on a WWE charter flight from the United Kingdom to the United States in 2002. And here's the tweet that he put out with his statement, which I'll go ahead and go over here right now. But it says, every person that I've worked with has said not to post a response, but I've never run from past behaviors before, and I'm not going to start now. I want to clarify a few things. About 4 years ago, I gave ESPN full access to my life for a 30 for 30 special. That's on ESPN Plus. For those of you that want to check that out, the 30 for 30 on Ric Flair. It's actually pretty good, and they really do get into the good, the bad, and the ugly in that. They covered taxes, financial issues, adultery, divorces, the passing of my child, and drinking/partying at length. And this is true. It seemed pretty transparent. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff that you'll see in that 30 for 30 that really don't paint Ric Flair out in the most positive light. I mean, he really kind of bared a lot of his issues in that 30 for 30. Rory Kampf, desperate to matter for another 15 minutes, did an interview about it this morning. When Rory's lips are moving, he's typically lying. But one part of what he said was the God's honest truth. I've never heard that he had forced someone to touch his genitals. Karpf, I guess it's Karpf or Kampf, I don't know. Karpf admitted everything with Rick that was construed as negative, I tried to address in the 30 for 30. His drinking, his philandering, his adultery, his money problems, there's quite a bit, but never, at least in the people that I spoke to, no one ever brought up that he would force himself on somebody. I allowed my personal life and the lives of my wife and children to be turned upside down for one reason. Whether it's good or bad, even the really bad, the truth has to matter, even in wrestling. And this is Ric Flair saying this now, okay? My issues have been well documented over my 40-plus year career. The impact of drinking too much, which nearly killed me 5 years ago, has been told time and time again. The reason Rory, or anyone else for that matter, never heard stories of me forcing myself on anyone is simple. It never happened. So that's what Ric Flair has to say about it. But we'll continue on with the article here. Last week's Dark Side of the Ring focused on the plane ride from hell, which was said to have included Brock Lesnar grappling with Kurt Hennig, aka Mr. Perfect, Michael Hayes getting his ponytail cut off, and Dustin Rhodes serenading ex-wife Terry Runnels. The most disturbing story of all, however, came courtesy of former flight attendant Heidi Doyle, who said Flair cornered her and forced her to touch his little nature boy during the flight. It was said on the episode that Flair had a habit of wearing nothing but his robe and twirling his Ric Flair Jr. in a motion known as the helicopter. In a follow-up statement released to WrestlingInc.com, Flair acknowledged doing the helicopter, but repeated that he did not essay Doyle or anyone else. To clarify, the helicopter, as it was called, is accurate. I wish I could blame it on youth, but it was a case of drinking too much and being inappropriate, and I apologize for that, and have countless times over the years. And this much is true. There has been plenty of times where he has talked about it as really not one of his better moments, and being a serious, issue, obviously, from, his worse, I guess, his proclivities with alcohol and things. So I made some bad decisions during dark periods of my life, and it is something I've spent a significant part of years I was given by the doctors in 2017 trying to make right. I condemn SA in any way, shape, or form. I could and have written books, as have others, that have covered my transgressions. I've made some terrible decisions, but I've never forced myself on anyone or on anyone in any way, period. Doyle and another flight attendant on the plane ride from hell reached a monetary settlement with WWE in the aftermath of the flight, despite the allegations against him. Then WWE announcer and head of talent relations Jim Ross confirmed Flair was not punished by WWE at the time. Flair is not known to be under contract with any wrestling company currently, after he asked and was granted his release by WWE last month. WWE removed Flair's voice and likeness from its opening video package prior to Monday Night Raw's episode, and his ad campaign with CarShield has been pulled from television as well. Okay, so obviously Ric Flair once again vehemently denies that he forced this woman to do anything, and really, I guess it's up to your own. It's really up to you to draw your own conclusion on the matter, hearing his side of it and her side of it. And the thing is, there's things that need to be considered. Now, would it surprise me to find out if this was all true, that he really did do these things? No. Would it surprise me to find out that Heidi Doyle may be embellishing the story a bit? No, that wouldn't surprise me either, because here's the other thing that we have to consider. We got to consider it all being out there, right? For the most part, like I said, and I'm not even a huge fan of Ric Flair. Never really have been. I respect what he's been able to do for wrestling and contribute, but as a fan of Ric Flair, the man, never really been a fan of the man too much. But I will say that I feel that a lot of times he has been a lot more transparent than maybe some other people in the industry. Way more transparent, I think, to a fault, I would even say. And that's coming from somebody that doesn't even particularly like the man, right? That's not to say, like I said earlier on, that what this lady claims to have happened didn't happen. I don't know. I wasn't there. There's always two sides to a story. Maybe it did. Maybe it didn't. Maybe it's being exaggerated. I don't know. That's really up to, I guess, however you feel about it is the way you could feel about it. I personally think that like I said, there's always more to these stories. I don't necessarily believe in the whole idea of, my truth or your truth. I think it's just the truth, and there could be some truth to what they're both saying. I don't know, but at the end of the day, it's hard to know exactly what the truth is in this particular situation. It's really, like I said, something you just got to kind of come to yourself, especially when you consider the fact that Heidi Doyle herself has a criminal history that does also come into play. I know somebody could probably try to argue and say, well, that criminal history stuff came after this event was said to have taken place. That doesn't matter. If we're going to do this whole thing where we're going to go back almost 20 years into Ric Flair's past, or even 2 years, then it's fair game for anybody. For anybody that's making any kind of accusations or claims, or you're going to look into their history. I mean, if they're going to put themselves out there publicly, this is what's going to happen. They're going to be scrutinized, and that does all matter, I think, in the grander scheme of things. If you're going to go by that whole logic, right, of his past and this thing and I heard this and I heard he did that, and okay, there are some things that again have been confirmed to be true. Him being naked in his robe, that is undoubtable. Not only by the corroboration, but by Flair himself attesting to that, right? And then there's things that again are true because they're factually true, like the fact that Heidi Doyle does have a criminal rap sheet. She was arrested for stealing $80,000 worth of jewelry. Heidi Doyle also was charged with identity theft, and she was charged with writing bad checks. Again, does that mean that what she said to have happened didn't happen? Could have very well happened, but like I said, these are all things to consider when you're looking at a person's story. And there were some other things that I addressed that Heidi Doyle had said in that particular episode that I found to be odd. But again, in no way is me saying that she's lying about what happened to her. And just like I'm like I said, look, Ric Flair is saying that he didn't do what she says. So it's really just a matter of he said, she said, right? It's, either you're going to take his side or you're going to take her side. Me, I honestly, either way, I don't really know. I mean, like I said, it wouldn't surprise me if it did turn out to be true, but it also wouldn't surprise me if it's an embellishment on the part of Heidi Doyle. If she just saw an easy mark in Ric Flair because, he was wilding out. Maybe that was the case, maybe not. Maybe he did do these things. And either way, look, he probably should have never stripped down naked and walked around in nothing but his robe, because even by the standards of 2002, not appropriate. And I think that that's something most people, if not all people, or I should say most people, I think would agree. I won't say all, but I think most people could agree with that you probably shouldn't be doing stuff like that when there's people that are present that aren't a part of your immediate circle, that know how you are and know how you act and know how crazy you get when you've kicked back a few drinks. So just saying, like I said, I guess at this point, I would say, what do you guys think? Are you guys on Ric Flair's side? Are you on the accuser's side? Who do you think is telling the truth? I guess let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and maybe we could have a discussion about it. But where I stand at this point is like I really have been consistent with this point all along. I don't believe men. I don't believe women. I believe facts, and I believe evidence that has been substantiated. So as far as I know, there hasn't really been anything outside of claims at this point. So that's where we're at. Maybe somehow, some way, someday, something will be produced that kind of substantiates either of what either party here is saying. So, but until then, it really is something we might not ever get the full story on. So let me know what you guys think, and until next time, you know how it goes. The hunt continues.